Hey guys, I'm Nat,
And I'm Ashton,
and
and
we
we
are
are the
the
Nerds
Nerds
in
in Flannel.
Flannel.
Welcome back. So Ashton, we had a pretty good evening.
We
What did you
did,
say?
dude. We went on a date. Like
Yeah,
that was a date.
it was a date.
Very straight date.
Yes, to clarify, yes, very straight date. I had a wonderful time.
I did too.
Ashton, tell the folks what we did.
So to start things off, actually, I'm not going to start things off from the beginning of the day because we already recorded a pod today.
Yes,
Um, I'll start things off from the dinner part. How about that? We went to Boston Pizza,
we did go to the
had a
Boston
time,
Pizza.
had a drink, had some pasta, and then we went to go see a pre-screening of a movie that I wouldn't say we were like super hyped for, but we were very interested in because
Yes,
it looks, like the trailers have been playing for months in the theater, and we see movies way too much. And yeah, it just seemed like a really good movie. That movie is Bullet Train.
Bullet Train,
We
baby.
didn't really know what to expect. Like it was like Brad Pitt on a train fighting people. Dope.
Dude, sign me up. But this turned out to be a very different movie than we were expecting, but different in a good way because this movie took us on a trip.
It
Get
did, didn't
Because
it?
it's a trip. And there were some points where it went off the rails.
Literally.
It was legit off the rails. And this was a really fun movie that I don't know, like it's hard to say because there's nothing really to compare it to, really. When you think
Yeah.
about it. I feel like it's its own thing. It's very how would I put this? It's Murder on the Orient Express, cross Nonstop with Liam Neeson, cross Seven Samurai, cross
Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2. It's a very, very stylized movie
Yeah.
with the quick cuts and the lighting and the action scenes are pretty sick. So
Honestly.
yeah,
So quick warning, there will be spoilers in this review.
yes,
So if you haven't seen this movie yet, I know we're a couple days early with seeing it because I think it officially releases Friday or something. With like we couldn't even usually with a lot of movies here in up in the Great White North at Cineplex, you can see if things are like pre-releasing on like the Wednesday or Thursday beforehand. This is the Tuesday we're recording this, and we can't find any other screenings for this on like a Wednesday or a Thursday. I
yeah.
don't think.
I kind of found this on a whim because we were always planning to watch a movie on Tuesday, but when I was scrolling through what to watch, I'm like, isn't Bullet Train out on Friday? I thought it was on Friday, so I checked, and it was just like this pre-advanced screening, and it's the only one. There's only one pre-screening in the entire what's it called Lower Mainland, I
Yeah.
suppose. Other than unless you want to go to what's it called, like I don't want to say Abbotsford, somewhere like in Kelowna or something.
Yeah, which it's outside the Lower Mainland anyway. So, and it just also happened to be the very theater that's just down the road from where Nat lives.
Yes.
And that's kind of where we're hanging out right now. Anyway, so
It's true.
it was a time, dude. It was a friggin' time.
Yeah, no, I love this movie. Like, especially, I think the theater experience was good too because we saw this movie in D box with
D
the
box.
with the motion seats. It's Tuesday. It costs $17, and we said why not, right?
Yeah.
My for a pre screening movie for on a Tuesday for D box, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, not really.
And these two guys beside us were like, they were laughing and having a good time. They're pretty much us, but like older and
Pretty much who we're
Yeah.
gonna be in the future.
exactly.
Like who we're gonna be in our 40s.
Yeah, man. No, it was a heck of a time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some things that we really enjoyed about this movie.
Yes. This is a stellar cast, Ashton.
Oh, it is.
Should we name some off for the folks here?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, obviously you have one of my favorite actors. I'm not even kidding. Like one of my favorite actors, Mr. Brad Pitt.
Ooh.
He's been in a lot of things. I loved him in Fury. Obviously, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, yes. What else has he been in? What's that one? I can't remember that drama, but he's been in other things too.
Oh yeah, he's a big actor.
And we're probably missing one of his big roles that he's been in.
This might actually end up being one of his last big roles.
Yes. He was also in Fight Club. That's what
Fight
it
Club.
is.
Oh, 100%.
Fight Club. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Good movie.
Meet Joe Black, and Ashton. Remember your was it number like your honorable mention or on your list for top 10 movies of 2022 so far? The Lost City.
Yes.
Yes, he was. I would say he had a main role.
Yeah.
And oh, dude, I actually forgot. He's in one of my favorite movies of all time, Moneyball.
Oh.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Also, who else is? Let's say
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
S-
He's a rapper.
He is a rapper. That's why that's his stage name.
Sounds like a rap.
Latin trap and reggae. It looks like alternative reggae
Interesting.
is sort of his genres.
Also, Joey King, who
Yep.
has been in the Kissing Booth movies, and a few other things. Aaron Taylor Johnson, who is Quicksilver for those who have just watched like big movies. He's also Kick Ass
Yep.
in Kick Ass 1 and 2. And he's in a few other things. He was in Godzilla,
Mm-hmm.
the 2014 movie, and and Tenet. He was in Tenet, and also he's going to be Craven the Hunter, which
Yeah.
I'm very excited for, and it's going to be a good time.
That one will be an interesting movie for sure.
Yes. Now let's just go through. Brian Tyree Henry, from the Internals and other things. Zazie Beetz, who was also in
Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2 and
Joker.
yes. And Atlanta, if you watch Atlanta. And she was a voice actress in The Bad Guys, which we talked about on our last episode. And then you have Hiroyuki Sanada. He's a very famous Japanese actor. He was in The Last Samurai. I believe he was Scorpion in the Mortal Kombat movie. He's going to be in John Wick 4. He was also in Wolverine with Hugh Jackman.
Yep. Fun facts. He was in Wolverine, but he was also in Avengers Endgame.
He was. Yes. As who again? Oh, as that rodent scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a sick scene.
That was pretty dope.
Who else we got? Any big names? I want to save a few of those names for the end, if you know what I'm talking about. Actually.
Sure. Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon.
Yeah.
Michael Shannon, who is obviously General Zod in the Man of Steel movies. And he's been in Shape of Water.
Yep.
Sorry. Best Picture winner, The Shape of Water, directed by Guillermo del Toro. And yeah, he's also been in a few other things. And I want to say Karen Fukuhara. She's Kamiko in The Boys. And she's been... Oh, also, yeah, I forgot about that. She's also Katana in the Suicide Squad.
Oh, right.
It's in Suicide Squad,
Yeah.
not the Suicide
The
Squad.
2016 crapshoot. Yeah.
Yeah, she played a voice. You know that? Remember, if you watch Star Wars Visions, she was that sister in that one show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Small world.
And to round off the cast, Logan Lerman, who was in Fury with Brad Pitt. He was also in the Percy Jackson movies and The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Nice.
So that is your main cast.
Yep.
So like I said, stellar main cast.
And again, if you've already seen the movie and you're listening, we'll get to a couple cameos in a little bit here. Just hold off. Have some patience.
Yes, please have some patience. Yeah. So that's kind of the main cast, and I'm gonna take Ashton's word. I think they did amazing.
Yes.
We think they did amazing. And when I saw the cast, I'm like, yeah, dude, we gotta go see this movie because the people in this movie obviously are class A actors and actresses, and having them in a movie like this works so well.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Actually, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I was definitely surprised by a lot of these performances. Like, I know for Brad Pitt, you don't he's done some comedic roles before, but this role for him was like, it just felt kind of different than some of the other stuff I've seen him do. Like he was kind of playing like this hippie, like super comedic, like everything bad just kind of happens to me character, but somehow he makes it out alive. And he was kind of like a punching bag, and it was just really funny. Joey King as well. I was actually kind of surprised by her performance because I don't know if you've seen The Kissing Booth. I've seen those. I personally didn't mind them as much, but I will admit they're not like the best movies in the world.
No.
I just never really expected her to kind of be like this villainous actress who's just kind of, yeah,
Manipulative.
manipulative. Yeah. And, there's a big plot twist at the end, too, when you find out that she's the White Dragon's daughter. Wait, it's White Dragon, right? Or White Death.
White Death.
White Death, yeah. Sorry.
Who was played by Michael Shannon.
Yeah. And yeah, you don't really, yeah, you don't really see that coming as much. There's a couple of hints here and there. But it was super cool to kind of see her like take on that role and do the whole British accent thing. I think she's actually American, isn't she? Or is she actually British? Because that would be embarrassing. I'm pretty sure.
She's American. She is from. Yeah, she's from California.
Yeah,
she's from LA.
Yeah, yeah. So she put on a British accent, which is interesting. I don't know. Like, I think she would have been fine without it. But it was very. It kind of hid sort of her character from everyone. It just kind of helped hide that. So I guess it worked out. Yeah, I think overall stellar roles, stellar casting, and just for this kind of movie, I think they nailed it with all that.
Yeah, this movie had in some points had very emotional points.
Oh yeah.
My two favorite characters were Brian Tyree Henry, who played Lemon, and Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played Tangerine.
Dude.
So they played brothers, and they played off each other so well.
They did.
And you can tell, like, immediately that there was character backstory. Like, you think these guys were just business partners, but they showed the emotion of brothers. And I actually felt that. And I was like, dude, this is pretty cool. So I'm glad that we got to see those two interact with each other because, I want to see them in another movie together. And they might be because they're both going to be in the MCU.
Oh, true.
Well Tyree Henry's already in the MCU.
Aaron Taylor Johnson was already in it, and then he kind of got killed off in his first movie in it.
Oh, that's true.
But who knows? Maybe we'll see a multiverse event where he comes in as Kraven. I don't know. One can wish.
Is Kraven supposed to be part of the MCU?
I think he's just part of Sony's universe.
Oh man.
Unfortunately, but yeah, those two characters, they were just such a hoot and holler. Like, I love the whole, like, Thomas joke. Like,
yeah.
Thomas.
Running gags.
Yeah.
Thomas
the Tank Engine.
The Tank Engine.
Yeah.
Yes. And, dude, Thomas the Tank Engine is so funny. Like, those references. He was, like, calling everyone, like, Diesel because Diesel's, like, the bad guy. And, like, Thomas is, like, the good person who listens to everyone.
And I love how they did that in a movie called Bullet Train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The train references were awesome.
Yeah, and just kind of the fact that, he's like, oh, I learned everything I ever needed to from Thomas. It was like, you know what, bro? I felt that.
Yeah. Ashton, you want to talk about the plot a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, so the plot is...
Without giving too much away.
Sure.
Yes.
So, here's how I would put it. Starts off with this guy who's had a bit of a rough go in the business of doing these odd jobs, if you know what I mean, like these murder assassination type jobs. And he's tasked with going onto this train. He's kind of taking the place of someone else who had a stomach thing, as what they put in the movie.
Yeah.
He's tasked with taking over his position and kind of going in and just covering for his boy right there. So he does, and he kind of finds the job a little too easy at first. His handler on the phone is like, oh, don't worry about it. It's literally as easy as that. And he's like, no, it's never as easy as that. And guess what? He was right. It's never as easy as that.
Thankfully for us, it wasn't as easy.
Thankfully for the audience, it wasn't that easy. As it turns out, there's a ton of different... There's a ton of stuff going on that bullet train. This Japanese bullet train. There's just a lot of these different people in crime on it that all have their own tasks, and they're all kind of they're all kind of working towards their own goals. Little do they know that things aren't as it seems for all of them, and they might have a little bit more of a connection to each other than they first thought.
Yes, it's kind of like a scenario where everyone has a job to do, and everyone's jobs interferes with everyone else's jobs. it's kind of like it's very funny in that way because how the characters interact with each other is very like, hey, this is business. I understand that you're trying to do your job. I'm trying to do my job, but also my job is to kill you. So it's very interesting that way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, something else that was very interesting about that plot too was there's just so many little details, like so many little things that kind of happen throughout the movie that you don't really think about too much. And all of a sudden, those things like come back to bite you. Like it's just that's a constant thing that happens in this movie. It's very well thought out and planned. I think one of the funniest things for me was like the water bottle scene, kind of at the or
Yeah.
I don't know if it was mid credits. It was kind of like after they started the credits and then they stopped them like 5 seconds later and then put the scene in.
No, that was like legit in the climax of the movie.
The water bottle. Oh yeah, no, sorry, I'm thinking about the tangerine scene. Yeah, sorry, that's right. The water bottle one though was it was so funny because you kind of saw this Fiji water bottle just lurking in a lot of these different scenes, and actually, it was kind of in some very important placements in some of the shots that they got whenever it was kind of featured. Like they
Yeah.
always kind of had it featured in the foreground, which was interesting. I didn't catch on to it right away, but after this scene came on, I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Should have saw this coming. Uh, but yeah, they kind of showed the whole history of how that bottle of Fiji water, like Fiji water, which is interesting because I think they also show Mount Fiji in the back. No, they don't because I don't know. Is Mount Fiji in Japan?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the Mount Fiji
I
that they
want to
showed in
say
the back,
yes.
which would also be kind of cool. But yeah, they kind of show off the Fiji water bottle, how it got onto the train, how like it fell out of the vending machine but didn't fall quite right. And then when Lemon went to go order something, something fell on it, and he got his item in the water bottle, took it onto the train, and then it kind of just shows like this huge montage of all the fight scenes you saw this water bottle in, the murder scene you saw this water bottle witness. It kind of goes into Brad Pitt's character like drugging the water bottle with like the sleeping thing, and then it's just so funny. And then that water bottle is used by, oh, what's his face? Like the dude's son.
Oh yeah. What's his name? His name is the actor's name is Andrew Koji, but
Yeah,
the character's name is Yu Yuichi Kimura.
yeah. So it's used by him to like knock out friggin' Michael Shannon's character, the White Death.
Yeah.
Well, like not completely knock him out, but like just to help distract him a bit. And dude, it was so funny to see that even that friggin' water bottle had a story.
Yeah.
And then yeah, they also show it with like the truck, the Tangerine truck, which is a nod to Tangerine, like Lemon's brother, who does end up dying
In a very funny way.
in a
not gonna
very
lie.
very funny way. But it kind of shows like how at the end after Michael Shannon's character is killed, you get Joey King coming back and just like threatening everyone with like this big machine gun, and all of a sudden out of nowhere this Tangerine truck just flies in and just hits her. And a lot of times whenever you see something like that, you're just like, oh, like that's either just a stupid comedic moment or like a very easy plot point that they just put in because it's tangerines and whatever. But then at the credits, they kind of show that no, that was actually Lemon driving that thing, and just in the funniest way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, like, oh man. The way that the movie sets up things like that is pretty spectacular because you're like, oh yeah, that happened, or like, oh man, actually, do you know the expression Chekhov's gun?
Nope.
So Chekhov's gun is a film technique where it doesn't have to be a gun, but it's I don't know, I forget the history of it, but it's when an object is placed in the foreground and it kind of foreshadows it being used. And there was a lot of times in this movie where there were objects that were like, oh yeah, that's a thing. So it keeps you keep it in the back of your mind, and then eventually there's a payoff, right? Uh, big film techniques type of stuff, and they did that a lot, especially with the water bottle, like Ashton said. But even with the tangerine,
The snake.
the snake, yeah, the snake was like there was a snake on this train, a very poisonous snake, that is almost shown like for a good like 50 minutes of the movie,
Oh, 100%.
if not more. I think even more.
This thing had more screen time than friggin' Captain America did in Infinity War.
Do you know what? No, I'm just kidding. It did. Maybe. No, yeah, I know. This is a really well written movie. That often surprises you with its action scenes and with its very clever, with the very clever way it tells a story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, we don't want to say too much because this movie just came out. Oh, we want you to go see it.
Yeah. You know, even though it's a review, we don't want to reveal too much because it's worth seeing. And yeah, you know, if you are listening to this after you see the movie, you probably already kind of know some of the things that we, you know, you
You know what
probably
we're
enjoyed a
talking
lot of the same things that we enjoyed. So you're all caught up on it anyway. We affirm it. We affirm it if that's what you're looking for. That's why I watch reviews sometimes after I see the movie.
Me too.
Yeah. You know, it was just a fun movie. It was a fun ride all around. I think it's kind of refreshing to get this sort of action comedy as well. You know, it's interesting because at first I was kind of putting this as like a friggin' like a Sean Levy movie because I totally misread the director's name. I totally thought it was Sean Levy. So I was like, oh dude, of course we're gonna get like a friggin' like Ryan Reynolds cameo in there somewhere, and it's gonna be like just a very goofy movie like Free Guy was, or it's gonna be kind of like an interesting like sci-fi special effects thing like the Atom Project or whatever. Then I was like, no, never mind. It's not Sean Levy. You know, do you have the director pulled up?
David Leitch.
Yeah.
Wait, right?
I
Not
think
David
so.
Lynch. David Leitch. Yeah, no, it's David Leitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see. What else did he direct?
Didn't he direct some of the Deadpools?
That would make sense if he did. Yeah.
Let's say he. Yeah,
Wait.
directed. Here's what he
Deadpool 2?
directed. Bullet Train,
Yep.
Deadpool 2,
Oh, Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde, Hobbs and Shaw, John Wick, Nobody. Oh, and Fight Club. Did he actually direct Fight Club? Oh no, that's David Fincher. I'm like, no, that's not David Leitch. Okay, so he didn't direct all these movies, but he's been involved in a lot of these movies
Okay.
as producers and producers.
Oh,
and
okay,
stuff.
gotcha.
He did direct Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, and Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah. And he he helped produce John Wick as well.
Yes.
So this man really knows what he's doing when it comes to these action movies and action comedies as well. Wait, Nobody. Did he direct that one as well?
Don't think so. No, it was
Nope.
Ilya Nalisherer.
Yeah, but he did help produce it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because the role of a producer is like actually sometimes a lot more intensive than the director itself because they
This is
start
true.
planning even just before they even find a director for that movie in a lot of cases,
Yeah.
which is interesting. So yeah, anyway, I think he did a really good job with this one. It actually, like, there's a lot of polish on this. You know, one thing that we've been talking about a lot lately on the pod has kind of been, you know, just how kind of upset we've been about some of these very just poor effects in a lot of like Marvel movies, especially that have come out. And it was kind of interesting. It's just really refreshing to watch like an action comedy, which is how I'd classify most Marvel movies as anyway.
Yes, action comedies.
Yeah, action comedies. It was just very refreshing to kind of see like a more of a realistic action comedy that's set somewhere else other than like friggin' America. It's set in Japan, and it has just like it's just a fun movie. Like if you're looking for a fun movie to go watch with your friends on a Friday night, you're not going to be disappointed by this one.
No.
I had a lot of laughs. Like, dude, we already went over a lot of the jokes we really appreciated in this movie, and it was just fun overall. It was like very well polished. I didn't have any gripes with any of the like effects or anything. They did their homework for this movie.
They really did. Oh, the Japanese culture is great and stuff.
Yeah.
I believe they actually like took parts of a bullet train and actually like filmed on it and stuff.
Yeah.
On a soundstage, not on the actual tracks, but on a soundstage.
Dang, if they did this on an actual bullet train though, that's like Christopher Nolan type stuff.
Yeah, who gets a plane and runs into an aircraft hangar.
Yep.
Yeah. What else was I gonna say? Why don't we talk about those cameos?
Yeah, let's do
Let's
it.
talk about the cameos.
Let's do it.
So Brad Pitt's character, is his like handler is a lady who talks to him through his phone, and she's like talking to him throughout the entire film, and kind of like calming him down, telling him what to do, and just like being overall like a person he can count on, right? And I'm like, I think I recognize the voice. Like almost immediately, I recognize this voice. And then at the end, like maybe like 2 minutes before the credits roll, she comes in, and I'm like, yep, I was right. And that person is Sandra Bullock.
Oh boy.
If you don't know who she is, she's been in a lot of things. Like what's that movie she got like an Oscar for? The Blind Side.
Blindside.
But
She's been in like Bird Box, The Proposal.
I forgot about Bird Box. Oh, and The Proposal with
Ryan
Ryan Reynolds, who was also in this movie.
Yeah, dude.
As like a legit like a 5-second cameo.
It was so funny though.
It pays off.
It pays off. Cause you know he plays the guy that Brad Pitt's character was replacing. I forget his name. Like the character's name, but pretty much the guy that assassinated the White Death's wife,
Yeah.
which is why he which is why he wanted him on that train in the first place, was so that he could get everyone that was kind of his enemies to kill each other, if that
Yes.
wasn't obvious at first. Yeah, so it was really funny to see that, oh, of course it's gonna be like Ryan Reynolds or whoever.
Yeah. And we forgot one more cameo, Ashton.
Yeah.
There was this man who was, just a passenger on the train, and who played a very comedic role, and that
Very
man
sus.
was Channing Tatum,
Tatum.
who was also in The Lost City with
Sandra
Sandra
Bullock.
Bullock. Wow, dude.
And also with Brad Pitt.
Oh my gosh. It all comes full
It
circle.
all comes full circle, dude.
Dude, I forgot about that.
Which is very funny because the character that Brad Pitt plays in The Lost City is very similar to the character he plays here. He's sort of this like super like amped up like military trained dude that's taking this
That's so
job
funny.
for Channing Tatum's character in The Lost City, and he ends up like getting shot or whatever. But then he comes back and he's also like this super like zen kind of guy.
Right.
Like super like hipster. He has like the same haircut and everything. And it was so funny to kind of see like the three of them, even though they all weren't in a scene together. But Brad Pitt interacted with both of these characters. It was just so funny to see all of them in this.
Yeah. Man, this was a good movie.
It really
enjoyed
was.
it immensely.
Yeah.
Ashton, anything else you want to talk about this movie?
Yeah, I think too, something that I also found interesting was, there's also like in a lot of these movies there's a bit of a deeper message in a lot of them. And I think this movie, it talks a lot about kind of like fate and whatever. But I feel like sort of a big part of it was, not every situation you're thrown into, even though if it seems bad, is going to necessarily be like a bad thing. Like it's bad in the moment, but when you actually have time to like reflect on things a bit, it might actually be for the best that some of those things happens.
Yes. The topic of fate was kind of played off in a comedic way, in a very serious way, but I think everyone got the message.
Yeah.
It was very clear.
It was very
say.
clear.
Yeah.
And like I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. So it was very interesting to kind of see them take that sort of big thing, and there's this whole thing from the movie of Joey King's character is like, oh, super lucky or whatever. She says that multiple times, and Brad Pitt's character is like super unlucky. And then you kind of like get the old Japanese man come in, and he talks all this talk about fate and whatnot. And yeah, it's super interesting to kind of see them take this whole like message on that and just kind of they play around with it, they have their fun with it, but then in the end it's kind of like, yeah, sometimes these horrible things that happen could kind of be like part of a bigger thing or whatever.
Yes.
So yeah, pretty cool, interesting message.
Very interesting,
Very
to say the
interesting.
least.
And the way that they mix it into this action comedy is so great.
Yeah.
One big gripe I have is that a lot of reviews that I've read so far, like I read a couple in the car, and I read a few like non-spoiler ones before we saw this movie, and people are like, oh, it's like a very like action centered like comedy, but the comedy
Good.
doesn't really stick.
What do you
It's
mean?
like, what do you mean? This is one of the funniest things I've seen. I would
No,
put this like, in terms of all the action comedies I've seen this year, I'd put this second to only to The Lost City.
Oh, I think I put it above the last.
You'd put it above?
I would, yeah.
Okay.
No, dude, this was my jam.
I think I need more time to think it through a little bit,
Yeah.
but
How many times have you seen Lost City?
I've seen it twice.
Okay, so have I.
Yeah,
Okay, but then again, we think differently,
we do.
so that's okay.
Yeah.
Wow, we disagreed on something.
I think one big thing about, ranking movies as well is like how it holds up on like the second showing.
Yeah.
So maybe after I watch this, I'll find it funnier than I found The Lost City the second time and put it back above it. We'll see. I do want to see this movie again though. Like, it was really good.
Yeah, I would go again.
Yeah.
Dude, imagine this in IMAX.
Dude. Okay, actually let's talk a little bit. I know we already touched on it, but let's talk a little bit about the D-Box experience.
It was okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was okay.
It's kind of like, so my prior experience with D-Box has only been the Batman and Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick is by far the best D-Box experience I've ever had. And if you want to hear more about that, go listen to our review on Top Gun Maverick. It was pretty great, I think. And the Batman was really cool too, especially with like the Batmobile scene. But other than that, it was this one kind of felt like a lot like, oh, your chair just kind of moves with every punch or whatever.
Yeah.
And after a little bit, it kind of got a little excessive. Like at one point, I kind of repositioned my neck so I could at least get a neck massage out of it.
I know he was falling asleep, but he was just moving his neck.
Yeah, no, it was just because, might as well take advantage of like a vibrating chair. And my neck feels fine now.
That's good.
Thanks for wondering.
Yeah.
So it was fine. I don't think you necessarily have to see this one D-Box. If you really like D-Box, then go for it. But if you're just wanting to see this movie, doesn't matter that much, I would say. If it's a Tuesday and you can get a cheap ticket anyway, go see this in VIP. Enjoy yourself. Have a drink.
In VIP?
Loosen up. If it ever ends up in VIP, I don't know. Maybe IMAX. I don't know if it was necessarily like
I don't think it's gonna be an
IMAX movie.
IMAX. But I would want to.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like seeing this on a bigger display would be kind of cool. But it's not as important as like seeing Top Gun Maverick on an IMAX display. I don't know if it was shot in IMAX or anything either.
Probably not.
But if you just want to go see this, have a fun movie night out. Don't worry about having to like pay for the upgrade. I think you'll enjoy it as equally with or without that experience.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else, Ashton?
No, I think I'm good, dude.
Ashton, okay. Here's the question. Out of 10 samurai swords, what would you rate Bullet Train?
I'd rate it like a solid like 7.5.
Okay.
What would you rate it?
If we're going by samurai swords, I'm gonna go like 8 samurai swords.
Really?
No, wait, let me think about it. I'll go to 7.
Okay.
I mean, some of the deaths were just a little weird for me, especially when involving tangerines. I mean, it makes sense, but
fair enough. Yeah, dude, that Aaron Taylor Johnson scene was so funny.
Yeah,
like it sucked, but it was so funny, and it grosses you out.
A series of unfortunate events.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that whole Romeo and Juliet thing that happened there between the two brothers.
Yeah,
where you have like Lemon seeing Tangerine like quote unquote, or sorry, you see Tangerine seeing like Lemon quote unquote dead.
Yeah,
and then he's actually just like drugged with the sleeping, and he has like a Kevlar vest with a gun bullet hole wounds aren't actually like there. And then he wakes up later and sees that like Lemon wakes up later and sees that Tangerine's dead, and it's just so
it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking to see them like cry for each other, but it's also like very funny how they played that off as like a Romeo and Juliet thing, because like you know, these two guys, they have a really great relationship
Oh, this is true.
as brothers. And, you know, if you have a great relationship with your brothers, then, you know, you kind of feel like that deeper level of like, you know, brotherly love, brotherly protection. And that would be like really heartbreaking, but it's also like so funny to see these characters play off of each other in just the way that they did. So yeah, there's that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it, guys.
I think that's it.
This is a shorter video than we usually do. Kind of shooting from the hip because we got back from the theater like 45 to an hour ago.
Yeah, we literally just saw this movie, so it's still fresh.
Yeah. Give it a watch. Highly recommend this movie. Not for kids.
Not for kids.
Not a kids movie. No,
Not at all. Not a family movie.
The first minute and a half, I'm like, not for kids. There's things you see.
Oh,
You catch my drift.
yeah.
Are there's two things you see. Okay, anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. Like I keep on teasing, got a couple more episodes coming out this week. So give those a listen when they come out. But until next time, I'm Nat.
And I'm Ashton. And we are the Nerds in Flannel. Peace.